people come in for what they're ready to receive, which sometimes is difficult. So a lot of times people come into me for a specific pain. But I know that there's more to life than just pain. Only about 6% of your nervous system actually deals with what you feel, and the rest is how your body functions.
Welcome, everyone, back to the Locala podcast. I am your host and a writer for Locala magazine, Taylor Strickland, and here on the couch with me today, I have Dr. Brooke Silberhorn. But before we get to interviewing her, if you like our content and you would like to see more, don't forget to like and subscribe. Welcome, Dr. Silberhorn.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
We are excited to have you. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I am a chiropractor here in Locala, and in addition to all of that, I recently was certified as an intuitive life coach, and am also learning some other mind-body psychosomatic healing methods. So lots of things happening.
Oh, very interesting. How long have you been interested in the life coaching?
Well, I have worked with life coaches in the past myself, and coaches, business coaches in general. And about a year ago, around this time, I had a woman who I knew interview me, and she just said, listen, you're super intuitive, and I think you would be a really great fit for my intuitive life coaching certification. And so I went through a 6-month program and graduated officially in the end of March. And it's, I'm just kind of like stepping out into that now in addition to my chiropractic practice.
Oh, very nice. What does an intuitive life coach do?
So life coaches in general basically guide a client to find the answers for themselves of the solutions that they need. And an intuitive life coach also uses their intuition to assist in that process. So sometimes a coaching client will say something, and for me, I feel a lot in my body, which is interesting. I'm still kind of learning, to listen to that. But sometimes it's just a ping in my head that says, stop there, talk more about that. Or maybe they're not being honest with themselves, or even just something that I'm supposed to say to them that will help them shift their focus.
Now, I will say, as a layperson, I don't know much about chiropractics, but from what I understand, it kind of seems as if they complement one each other.
Absolutely. Yeah. The view that I take of chiropractic is that the body is self-healing and self-regulating. So my job is not to fix you, but to actually remind your body of what it's designed to do and help assist your body in healing itself. And so coaching for me is the same way. It's like, I'm not here to tell you what to do, but to point you in the direction, ask you questions so that you forge your own path in whatever it is in your life that you're wanting to create change in.
Did you always think that this would be where you ended up when you were younger?
I don't think I foresaw all of the things that I'm doing today, but I've wanted to be a chiropractor since I was in 7th or 8th grade, and I grew up going to chiropractors, so it's been part of my life from a very early age. So I knew that I wanted to do that. But as far as the coaching and some of the other things, that definitely didn't, it wasn't like part of the big plan. It just has been an evolution. A lot of what I do in my life is largely because of my own healing journey. And that basically stems from, I was diagnosed with thyroid cancer in 2014, and I chose to use natural healing methods to heal. And I feel like my healing journey continues today. And so I just am like, oh, this has helped me. This has helped me. And I basically use those things to inform how I work with people and help them in their healing journey.
So what did you do when you had the thyroid cancer?
Some of the things that I did were juicing, liver detox methods, supplementation, a lot of mindset work. And that has evolved over the years. So it's kind of like, what haven't I done in a way? But what I didn't do was have my thyroid removed, and I didn't do the typical radioactive iodine is what they typically use for thyroid cancer. I didn't do those things, and 9 years later, here I am.
Were you a little bit nervous? Did you think maybe it wouldn't work, or?
I mean, there's always fear. There's always a little bit of anxiety whenever you do something that's outside the norm. And there's still moments where I'm like, what if? But I've realized that you can't live your life in the what ifs. You have to do what resonates most with you. So in the early days, actually, it started between being told the possibility of thyroid cancer and actually getting the diagnosis. I sat with myself. I talked with my husband. I prayed a lot, talked with other family members and healthcare practitioners who have been on a similar journey prior to me. And I just had to take a step back and say, what is it that I truly believe about how the body functions and how it heals? And for me, again, like I said, I believe that our bodies are self-healing, self-correcting, self-regulating. And so to stand in that and basically work with the body to optimize health and function so that it can appropriately heal in the way that it should was the best path for me. And that's not for everyone, but it was for me.
Did the seeds of this sort of holistic type healthcare model start when you were younger? Because I know you said you were in and out of chiropractic, things like that.
I would say so. Though growing up, my parents saw chiropractors even before they started getting us as kids adjusted. And it was primarily for like pain and symptoms and not necessarily a wellness lifestyle like I use it now. But I think the chiropractor that my parents started seeing when my mom was pregnant with my younger brother really had a major influence. And so supplements, and we would go see him maybe once a month, or if there was a snowstorm and most people were canceling their appointments, my dad would call up and say, got any openings? And he'd pack us up. One time he worked for a utility company. So one time he actually loaded us up into his bucket truck and drove the half hour in a blizzard to get us adjusted. I mean, we still would go to the medical doctor for certain circumstances, but a lot of times when we were sick, we went to the chiropractor. If we had an injury or things like that, you know, barring fracture and stuff like that, we would go to the chiropractor first.
So a snowstorm. You were not in Florida.
I was not in Florida. I grew up in Iowa.
Okay.
And I went to chiropractic college in Minnesota, practiced in Minnesota for a couple of years, in Illinois for about 6 years. And then my husband, who's from Illinois, and we decided to move to Florida. So
was it the warmer weather?
Yes and yes. We experienced a polar vortex winter that was sub-zero temperatures, wind chills in the negative 40s or 50s. My daughter didn't have school for a full week just because it was so cold. And we lived in a small house that was built in the 50s that was on a crawl space and not insulated. And our bathtub would freeze. The drain would freeze overnight. It was not pleasant. And we just looked at each other and said, we do not have to live here. And so we spent probably 1.5 to 2 years determining where we wanted to move to and prepping our house to sell and all of that stuff. And we moved to Ocala in 2015 and love it.
How's it been treating you so far?
Really great. Yeah.
Have you found that business is better here for your practice, or is it more common up in Illinois?
I can't say that there's necessarily like a huge difference between Illinois and Florida as far as business is concerned. When I was in Illinois, I was an associate, so I worked for someone else, which has its own set of benefits and drawbacks. And when I was in chiropractic college, I always envisioned owning my own practice, but life kind of took me in a different direction when I first graduated. So when we moved down here, it was just, I'm just going to open, and I made a lot of mistakes and didn't know what the heck I was doing. And I've learned along the way. And I feel like as I have grown as an individual through things like coaching and, self-work, I have refined what my practice looks like because of how I want to show up in the world.
When did you first open it?
So I opened in the fall of 2015, a couple months after we moved here. Again, made a lot of mistakes starting out as far as I just kind of was like, hey, I'm here, but I really didn't tell people I was here. So it was
just had a building with your name on it. And you're like, yeah, walk in.
So thank goodness for Toastmasters. I did join Toastmasters almost right away. And so some of those individuals were some of my first practice members. And now I'm in a group called Nice Ladies, and that has been an incredible source of community and networking, and my ideal client as well. So
could you tell people who may not know otherwise what these groups are?
Sure. Toastmasters is a group for public speaking, and so you go and they have different opportunities for impromptu speaking or prepared speeches. I have not been in Toastmasters the last several years because it just didn't work with my schedule, but it has been a really great source of building confidence for me in public speaking. And, looking back, like, I didn't mind public speaking before Toastmasters, but I always had just a lot of internal turmoil, butterflies in my stomach and heart racing. And now it's just a comfortable thing for me because of the work that I did with Toastmasters. And Nice Ladies is a networking group that was started by two local women in Ocala. And cool thing is they're actually looking to franchise it and expand nationwide. But it's built on networking and basically supporting nonprofits in the local community. So they have two different levels of membership, and the top level of membership has monthly meetings where they will have a speaker that talks about different things that are beneficial for business and personal empowerment as a business owner. And then also they will have a highlighted nonprofit, and part of the dues that we pay go to the nonprofit. And then we also will collect donations. So this month, the nonprofit, we actually collected gently used or new purses and bags, and then items like hand lotion and things like that to put in the bags to go to homeless women who are also experiencing domestic violence situations. Yeah, we've, couple months ago, we collected money and cup of noodles donations that we gave to the ROCK program, which is for the local middle school and high schools. So it's a really amazing group of women entrepreneurs, and I'm super grateful for them.
I think a lot of people don't realize how involved all of their doctors are in the communities. I know a lot of them have to practice giving speeches, and it's not just because of patients. It's not to prepare for that conversation you have in the room. It is for community involvement and things like that, and mentorship programs. Yeah. What do you think, how does your mentorship and your community involvement differ from others?
Oh, that is a tough question to answer. I think one of the things that makes me stand out, and it's something that I'm stepping into that is new, is I specifically love working with women. I have worked with pregnant women, women who are wanting to conceive, and I love guiding women to align their life with their menstrual cycle, which is something that a lot of women don't even know. Like, hey, not only is your hormones different at different phases of your cycle, but your energy, your nutritional needs, all of those things. And my new thing that I'm starting is to work with preteens and teens to learn that, so that they can be empowered in their bodies. And so promoting, body positivity, helping them to understand the shifts in their body. So, it impacts relationships and how we just experience our world. And that's kind of unique, I think.
Yeah, that's a hard adjustment, I know, for a lot of people to understand that your, existence is cyclical because of that. Yeah. A lot of people are not aware. It's good to get them young.
Yes, that's the goal anyway, because this is stuff I learned just in the last 5 years. I knew about all of the science of the cycle, but just that mindset shift had a huge impact on me, and I've just learned it within the last 5 years. And I'm like, man, if I would have known that when I was 14, 15, and how it impacted my own health, that I don't get major cramps or major headaches and things like that like I used to. So
could you talk a little bit more about that shift? Is it a situation where it's like, well, I know all the science and everything, and typically the way I deliver this information is in office, but there's a difference between that and guiding people in their lives, or was it something else?
Well, I think just with the coaching aspect that I recently completed, I think that has helped me in how I guide people differently. So in my practice, people come in for what they're ready to receive, which sometimes is difficult. So a lot of times people come into me for a specific pain. But I know that there's more to life than just pain. Only about 6% of your nervous system actually deals with what you feel, and the rest is how your body functions. So for me, I want to give more than sometimes what people are ready to receive. And so having different opportunities to serve people in a different way, like with coaching, developing this program for teens, basically just allows me to serve in a way that feels more congruent, and in a way where I can serve more people than just what I can do from my brick and mortar practice. So the goal is to really impact them, even just beyond the city of Locala. That's where I'm starting, of course, but it's a hard thing to want to give so much and then realize that not everyone's ready to receive it.
Yes. How many people are you coaching right now?
Currently still in the putting myself out there phase.
Have you ever had anyone interested, or how do you usually deliver what you're doing to people? For people to understand?
So some of the things that I'm doing are just putting myself out there on social media. I am partner coaching with one of my fellow classmates. So we are continuing to hone our skills with coaching. And then I'm going to be launching this program for teens. So it will be part teaching, part coaching via Zoom. And then also having classes that I do in person here in Ocala. That's one of the other ways that is kind of in the process of putting my services and coaching out there.
I know you said that you have a daughter. I'm not quite sure how old she is. Is it a situation where she's like, yeah, I get a free life coach? Or is it, Mom, I don't want to be involved?
Yes. So I have two daughters. One is 16, and she definitely is I don't want my mom to help me most of the time. She pushes away a lot. So I just use a lot of the coaching questions that we learned through the program without it being like, I'm coaching you.
without her going, Mom, I know what you're doing.
Yeah,
I know what you're
exactly.
doing right now.
Yeah, which is really great. I mean, I think going through the coaching program has actually helped me to be a better doctor as well, because I ask questions differently. And again, people will say, oh, I have, this symptom, I want that gone. But they're not thinking about all of the other things that are contributing to those symptoms in their life that maybe they need to discontinue or start doing to change it. And coaching questions really cause them to reflect and lead them on the path, instead of me saying, this is what you should do. And, some people just don't receive that. Like, they don't necessarily, if they're told to do something, they're not going to do it. Whereas if they come up with the idea, then they're more likely to create that change. One of the other services that I offer in my office that's a little different looks at the whole body and what sources of stress are contributing to dysfunction in the body. And I will be totally honest, in almost 17 years of practice as a chiropractor, I can without a doubt say that mental and emotional stressors are the biggest source of dysfunction in the body. And to help people to create that shift in their mindset is probably one of the biggest aspects of healing. It has been for me, 100%.
Could you give us an example? For instance, if I came in and I was saying, oh, my shoulders hurt, or I'm having this pain in my neck, how would you approach the problem?
So obviously we would talk more about your health history and if you've had injuries. But then also we talk about, what your diet is like, what your stress levels are like. Do you love your job, or are you sitting in front of a desk for 10 hours a day or doing repetitive motions? So we do want to find out those things, and then obviously do an exam. But then also questions that I ask are, a lot of open-ended questions to get you to think like, okay, so what do you think is the primary cause of this pain that you're experiencing? What do you think would be helpful for you in this, in addition to what I have to share with you about chiropractic care?
And I know that you mentioned that, of course, you use your expertise to figure out these questions, but as well, you said that there is this intuition that you have within your body that helps guide you. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Intuition is something that I'm still learning and kind of feeling into. But sometimes it's just, it's hard to explain, but it's just a feeling that I have to say, oh, there's more to the story. I'm trying to think of a really good example, but...
Is that what usually prompts you to ask more pointed questions about people's lives? Is you're like, there seems to be something else there.
Yeah.
I know you mentioned that you speak with your colleagues. Specifically, you spoke with them about your thyroid cancer, but I'm sure you speak with them about this as well. Do they usually follow their intuition? I would presume after.
Some do.
Okay.
Some, I mean, chiropractic is very broad in how people approach things. There's hundreds of different actual adjusting methods. So some are very, structural in their approach. And others, like myself, are more working with the tension and tone of the spinal cord versus the actual vertebrae. And so a little bit more energetic based. And so I think there are some chiropractors, it's like, this is the way that it's supposed to be. And then others are like, that doesn't feel right. And the difference sometimes is hard for the layperson. I mean, I try to be very open in my communication on social media. And even when I do a consultation, I will tell people the technique that I utilize is not your traditional popping, cracking kind of technique. And yet, even though it's gentle and low force, people get really amazing results because we're tapping into your body's inherent ability to self-correct.
Was there anyone that you affected the most change for, or you changed them or helped in a way that surprised you?
So this is an interesting circumstance. I had a woman, she was pregnant. Her mom met me through networking in town, and she came in to see me. And I explained, okay, this is a different technique. Some people feel a lot in their bodies. They'll feel energy shifting from one part of their nervous system to another. Other people don't notice major changes right away, and it just will gradually improve over time. But we went through the whole process. I adjusted her, and I could tell by the look on her face that she was like, I didn't feel anything. This lady's crazy. That didn't do anything. But we set up a follow-up appointment where I would explain to her the results of her testing and make a recommendation. And she came back the next day and she said, yeah, I really didn't think that did anything. But as I was driving away, I called my mom and was talking to her. And as the words, I don't think that did anything, came out of my mouth, I turned to check the traffic and my whole spine reset itself. And so sometimes it's little things like that. I had a baby that I saw. I think he was like 4 months old at the time, had difficulty turning his head and difficulty breastfeeding. So I adjusted him, I believe 3 or 4 times over the course of the long weekend. His mom said after the first 2 visits, she said, I just have to thank you because I didn't even really want to be with my baby. Now we're enjoying each other. And it was just like, I hadn't even adjusted the mom, but because he was more connected in himself and was sleeping better and eating better and all of those things, like it impacted their relationship. And that's why I do what I do.
So the clients that you have or the patients that you have, they're very wide, because usually when I think of someone who would go to a chiropractor, I would think of someone who has like long form issues or someone older, but a mom and a baby.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Your nervous system controls the function of everything in your body. And the first trauma we can have to our spine and our nervous system is when we're born. So to have a baby checked after they're born is a first way of making sure that they're functioning 100% optimally. And things like torticollis, where they can't turn their head, breastfeeding challenges, colic issues, things like that are really great signs that there's a disconnect between the brain and the body. So chiropractic is broad range in how it can impact someone's life. I personally love working with couples who are trying to conceive. The nerves that go to your reproductive organs can be interfered with. And so getting adjusted, making sure that all of the other aspects of a healthy lifestyle are on point impacts your ability to conceive. And then pregnancy is the other favorite thing that I do. So making sure that women not only have a comfortable pregnancy, but that their body is well prepared and moving properly to be able to give birth effectively. So,
are those your ideal mentees that you would do for your mentorship program? Is, say, for instance, people like that lady who's having a hard time connecting with her baby. Of course, you solved that one problem, but maybe you could have continued outside of that, or is it totally separate?
No, I would say working with women in coaching is my ideal way that I would approach things. And then also the teenagers in that program is the other. I feel like if you can impact someone earlier in their life, then it just changes the trajectory of our entire society. And really honestly, because I work with couples in preconception health, working with teens is a long-term game for me, because I know teens are hard. I have one. But impacting a teenager's how they view life, how they view health, their menstrual cycle, everything, impacting them early on will impact then their ability to conceive. And what we know from epigenetics, which is how our genes respond to our environment, that we can create change in how our genes express themselves. And it's literally like flipping a light switch on or off. So if you're choosing a healthy lifestyle, you're getting adjusted, eating a healthy diet, supporting your body with specific nutrients that it needs to function optimally, mindset work, exercise, all of those things, you can be a healthier person, but then that passes that healthy gene expression on to your future child. And that is literally creating a healthier world, which is so exciting for me.
And then immediately it will be creating a healthier Ocala, which is why we're very lucky to have you. If anyone, moms, parents, teens, would like to join your program, where would they find you? So they can find me on the majority of the socials, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, at Thrive Chiropractic Ocala. And my website is thrivewithchiro.com. Great. Everyone, please be sure to check out Dr. Brooke. And thank you so much for being here with us today. And thank you so much for being with us here today, Dr. Brooke. We're very lucky to have you in this town. Thank you. We're glad that Illinois in the snow chased you down here. Me too. And everyone else, thank you for joining us today with Locala Magazine. Once again, I'm your host, Taylor Strickland, and a writer here at the magazine. We'll be sure to put all of the necessary links in the description so you can find Dr. Brooke. If you want to learn more about us, please visit us at www.localamag.com. And thank you again. Bye. Bye.